Now, as Tony Vito mentioned, we have been on tour. We have done 80 dates across the UK. It's been a lot of fun. It's been great. And now I'm here, performing for you. Hello. So my name is Dalico. Any of you who don't know me, unlike the rest of the performers who performed in this year's Britain's Got Talent, I was on last year's. I ended up coming third. Yes. I'm very happy with third, because the way I look at it, coming third, if it was the Olympic 100 meters, is like being the first white guy. But the best part of me wasn't even performing. The best part of me was my family. Because you've got to understand that I was somebody who was on an academic path, right? I was studying to be a computer programmer, and I decided to quit all of it to be a comedian, and my family was like, what are you doing? Because I had potential. I got into Cambridge. Yeah, they left the window open. No, but honestly, I quit everything to become a comedian. My family was terrified, and then it was just lovely to have them go from doubting me to having them fly over to the UK and being in the audience as I did the final of BGT. What was really great too was my family ended up getting into it more than I was. My dad started giving me very African advice. He was like, don't eat any food backstage. The other contestants will try to poison you. And ever since, my life has been total whirlwind. I still get recognized, but not like as much. Now I get a lot of people who recognize me, but they don't know why they recognize me. Right? And I was on a train, traveling to Crosby, and a person caught me and was like, hey! I know you! I voted for you, man! I voted for you 5 times! You should have won! I was like, thank you. Then he just starts nudging random people in this cab saying, this guy was on BGT, he was funny, man! He was funny! You should have won! And then he nudged someone and said, no, he was shit. And then I stood there awkwardly as everybody in the entire carriage started to have a heated debate about whether I was funny or not. I was like, oh no, he was terrible. He was just banging on about being, no, I loved it. The first one we was talking about the fish and chips. No, he was funny. No, he was terrible. And I realized I'm the new Brexit. And the person who won last year was an absolutely brilliant musician called Tokyo Myers. Very brilliant, amazing. Did you buy his album? Oh, it's absolutely amazing. You've got to check it out. It's brilliant. But he also did something that boggles my mind. Do you know how much money you win if you win Britain's Got Talent? £250,000. So Tokyo Myers took that entire prize money and he gave it all to charity to help underprivileged children. Isn't that amazing? You should clap that. That is so inspiring that somebody would do that, because I can tell you I would not. No, I was spending it in my mind. I would be in Barbados right now, just chilling. I'm not a monster, okay? I would have given some of the money to help underprivileged women, but that would have been on a one-by-one personal arrangement basis. No, because it's hard to give away money if you grew up struggling, if you grew up poor. I remember we were so poor that Christmas time, the gifts were terrible. I remember once going to my dad and said, Dad, why does Santa Claus go to the neighbors? Gives them the big remote control car, comes here, gives me this little metal one, and my dad didn't want to ruin the magic. He told me, look, you have to understand, son, Santa Claus is a huge racist. So I poisoned his cookies. But my favorite thing to do, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, is around the house there are loads of catalogs. And in the catalogs, there were pictures of all the toys you could order. And I used to love to sit there with a felt tip pen, and I would circle the toys. And you did it too, didn't you? Yeah, you'd circle the toys, and I'd just dream. I'd say, one day I'm going to have my own money. I'm going to buy this toy for myself. One day when I'm rich. Now I'm older, I can afford the toys. I don't want them. But I haven't changed that much. Now I look at women who are out of my league, and I'm like, one day. And it wasn't all positive, though. There is a dark side when you're on a reality show, because, you know, on the one side, you've got all this positive stuff happening, but on the other side, you get hate mail. I got hate mail and death threats. over one joke. Now, I know not all of you watch it, so let me just recreate it. Essentially, the crowd was like this. It was like white. And look, I'm black on stage, lots of white people in the audience. 200 years ago, this would have been an auction. Now, I did that joke on television, didn't know that it was going to offend anyone, because one, it's true. And two, I thought as a society we had all agreed that slavery was a bad idea. I thought you could even find the most right-wing guy in the UK and say, hey, how about slavery? And even he would be like, look, I want them out of my country, I don't need to actually own one. No, out of the blue, I started getting all these crazy trolls sending me messages. One of them like, oh, if you don't like the slavery, go back to Africa, monkey man! And I was like, this guy does not know how slavery worked. It was not a go back to Africa kind of thing. It was more import than export. And it happens to everybody. We all are living in a time where people troll each other on the internet. I'm sure a lot of you have had it happen to you when you're on Twitter or Facebook. Someone sends you something horrible. One person hated my performance so much, he messaged me, I hope you die of cancer! And I was like, dude, you don't know me, at least wish me chicken pox. But I don't let them stress me out, because I will say this, even though there are pockets of nutters in the UK, I've lived in 9 different countries, and by far the UK is the most accepting place I've ever lived. Right? Because most of you could not care less. In fact, I'll go so far as to say you hate each other more than foreigners. In the streets of Manchester, somebody once said to me, you're black, at least you're not from Liverpool. And I don't let racists stress me out, because even the racial slurs are lazy. Like the N-word comes from nègre, which means black. Which means once upon a time, a racist saw somebody black and said, black. So lazy. And I know this for certain because I was there at the birth of a new racial slur. I was walking down the streets of Newcastle. I was walking with a white woman. I do that sometimes. There was an angry, drunk racist who saw us walking together, got angry, said he wanted to yell out abuse. But the poor guy, there is no word for a black person and a white person walking together. He had to improvise. He made one up, so he started to yell, penguin? Penguin! I was confused. How could I be offended by that? I love happy feet. I almost wanted to help him out because there are other things that are both black and white. He could have yelled out. He could have yelled something like, zebra! Cow! Old television! That song by Michael Jackson! Michael Jackson! But what is also good is that you know a bit of things in the UK about Africa, right? You know it's a real place. You know, Tony brought out all these animals, but you know that's like the Lion King. That's not actually the streets of Africa. Because, trust me, when I do gigs in America, do we have any Americans in the room? Clap your hands. No. Trust me, there are lots of Americans who have never left America, who all they think is what they see on television. So if they met you, they'll be like, have you met the Queen? And stuff like that. They meet me, and they're like, yo, you from Africa, man? Are there cars in Africa? I just mess with them, I say, no, we ride the elephant. We put the bag in the trunk, we say, go, Dumbo! People say, are they post offices in Africa? I say, no, we write the letter, we put it on the arrow, we shoot it to the next village. And people always think I am talking about white Americans. No, the craziest requests I get are from black Americans, because to them, Africa is the motherland. It's their roots. They come at me excited, and this year it got out of hand because of Wakanda. Did you watch Black Panther? It's a great movie, but a lot of black Americans watched it and they were like, this is a documentary. Yeah. They'll come to me and they'll be like, Wakanda forever! You from Africa, dog? One guy kind of said, you from Africa, can you do me a favor, man? Can you give me an African name? I want to cross out my slave name, replace it, Kablam, with an African name. I said, okay. Your name is now Mazunzo. Good name, my brother's name. He said, no, dog. I want a real African name. I want a name with a click. I said, okay, your name is Mo. He said, that's great. What's it mean? I said, it means you're an idiot. That's what it means. And also, I'm well aware, and quite a lot of the other contestants are well aware, is that we've been famous for around a year, right? But reality show fame is fake fame. Because people care for a year, they start to forget you. But I am not going down without a fight. I've got a plan to stretch it. I'm going to do all the reality shows. This year, Love Island. Yeah, I can find love and British citizenship. No, but my big plan fell apart because I wanted to do Big Brother. But have you heard there's going to be no more Big Brother? People got tired of Big Brother. It was always the same. Oh, don't boo that, because it would have been great if I was running Big Brother. Because I would do Big Brother, not with celebrities. That was a mistake. It was always celebrities. They should have done Big Brother with religious fanatics. Because wouldn't you tune in for that? Get a couple of Jehovah's Witnesses, get a couple of Mormons, they can fight over the front door. And then if you really want to have fun for series 2, fill the entire Big Brother house with members of ISIS. Starve the bastards. Then every morning give them nothing to eat but bacon and booze. See who the first is to snap. Some of you are worried about that joke. Don't worry, that joke is only offensive to members of ISIS. And I am looking for love. It is difficult to find love in this day and age. It's difficult. I was seeing someone for a while who has a kid, not my kid. Her kid got in trouble at school for waving a knife around. She called me and said, can you please do me a favor? Could you please talk to him? I think he's not had any positive male role models. Maybe you could have some influence. And I said, no, he's got a knife. You talk to him. But I think my problem is I am not romantic enough. When I got to the UK, I had not watched Love Actually. I did not realize that this is like showed every Christmas. I spoke to a British woman who's like, oh my God, you've not watched Love Actually. I watch it every year, and I cry so hard. And I remember thinking, why is that a recommendation? Who enjoys crying? That's like recommending a restaurant by saying, oh my God, you've got to eat at the new curry house. I eat there every week and I have diarrhea. It's beautiful. And I also noticed that in the romantic scenes, she would get caught up and start expecting me to treat her like what she saw. There was one scene and she nudges me and she says, isn't that nice? Isn't it great the way that he treats her? Why don't you ever treat me like that? It is a movie. This is a movie. It's a fantasy. It's not real. Could I bring home a blue movie? Isn't that nice? Isn't it great the way that she treats him? Why don't you ever treat me like that? With 2 of your friends? But one thing I did notice over Christmas here is that it's less religious Christmas than it is in Africa, right? Around Christmas time, how many of you went to church? Clap. Clap. A few of you. If this was Malawi, everybody would have cheered. Very few people go here. But I think part of the reason is because it's more boring. Like, clap your hands if you've been to a black church. A few of you should all go because we have some fun in there. We got people clapping, right? People jumping out, yelling, hallelujah! People singing. This is what I grew up with. The first time I went to a British white church, I was looking around like, don't these people believe? I was trying to shake some life into people. I was like, come on. God is busy. You got to get his attention. And in African churches, it's a whole other level because we've got miracles going down. Yeah, somebody can throw crutches in your face. I was once next to a woman who started speaking in tongues. I didn't expect it. She just got up and went, woo, woo, woo. I didn't know what it meant. Then I moved to the UK. Now I know. It was Welsh. No, but there's all kinds of cool stuff about religion. My family was Catholic. You know how we make holy water? The priest gets regular water, blesses it. It's holy. If I was a priest, I would just go around blessing everything. Go to McDonald's, order a burger, bless it. Holy cow. Get some tacos, holy guacamole. And my family was so religious. My teenage years, I was 15, I started acting up. A lot of your parents would have called a psychiatrist or something. My dad called an exorcist. Now, I do not know if any of you have ever been exorcised. I don't recommend it. They strap you to the bed with ropes. They start pouring holy water in your mouth. They go, I was coughing and sputtering. My dad did not think this was enough. He believed you spare the rod, you spoil the child. There was a big wooden cross. He grabbed it, passed it to the priest and said, beat him! Beat the devil out of him! This priest began to whack me. I was on the bed like, So understandably, when the priest said, Satan! I figured I should probably play along. Now, I've watched the Exorcist movie. I cannot turn my head around 360 degrees, but I gave it a good shot. I was like... I put on my best devil voice. I was like, yes. I am Lucifer. He said, devil, leave this boy. I said, no. I'm leaving. Then I got a brilliant idea. I pointed at my dad and said, I'm going into hell. Now this show's been a lot of fun. Before I go, I will say that if you love my stuff, you will find in the break, I will be selling a DVD. The tour which I did with Tony, we filmed it, and it's in like HMV and stuff, but you can get it for cheaper. You can get it for a tenner over here after the show. Also, I'll come out for anyone who wants to take a picture, or anyone who buys one and wants me to sign it. It's been a pleasure, and just so you don't feel like bad, you should know that all money, all proceeds from the DVD sales are going to help feed an African family. My